So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my MIDI channels here, which have my all-in-one Mega Beef rack. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to resample this. I'm going to color this white, and I'm going to call this Ideas. And I'm going to do insert take lanes. And essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to record, let's say, Mega Beef 2. And essentially, I'm just going to load in like our root note. I might have to change that octave. That's why I have this little octave choice thing right here just to kind of go in between. He's got some good dubstep ones. We can go through some of these. I think I found one that worked earlier when I was going through this pack. Was it Mess? And that's pretty cool. So before I start going through these, just want to explain this WHZLY Mega Beef rack. This one's still in the making. But essentially, it's a ton of compression, dispersion happening, controlling mid information, side information. I actually put an auto pan in the very beginning if I want to force a wobble. So if I have something that's already like this, I'll put the beef up. Just know that if you're working with a preset that already has reverb in it, you're going to probably want to turn off the reverb that's in the channel itself, since I have it on the rack, and the beef kind of oversaturation and compression squashing that's happening is going to kind of bring out that reverb. So just bear in mind, this is for heavy basses only, this Mega Beef, and you really want to make sure reverb in any patch that you're playing with is off or just low, or else you're going to kind of get that. I mean, even delay sometimes maybe, or if the filter is like a reverb filter like this one, you know. But it's kind of contributing to the sound, but even it sounds cool when it's off. I can add reverb here. You can add reverb here too to get kind of that back, or just kind of mess with the level. Anyways, we have this wobble amount that forces the wobble, like I said earlier, which could be cool. This just kind of gets rid of a muddy signal, kind of down here in this area. As you can see, I lower it. High shelf just boosts the high. Echo duck is whenever the sound ends. So if I put this wobble rate to, let's say, 1/2 and use echo duck, you'll hear it echo after, but it's not going to be echoing during due to like a sidechain ducking feature. Hear how it's wobbling, and when I turn it off, it wobbles. Long verb and short verb, I mean, straightforward, right? And then a wobble amount at the very end, because having a wobble before all this compression and saturation and reverb stuff will have a different kind of effect, because it'll still get saturated after, like with the tails. Even though that's kind of cutting off some of the tails, it'll still accentuate a lot more detail. Whereas this wobble amount is at the very end of the chain, it'll really do a hard cut on it. Hear the difference. So, and you'll see when sounds get a little crazy, you'll sometimes want to prefer this one, or if you want something to hard more cut, use this one. And then a low shelf to just push it into a clipper harder or not. Right, or less. That's basically that. So, let's go through some of these presets. Let's see. Ooh. Okay, this one's really cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to record that, right? So record. Awesome. Okay. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to resample some more, as maybe change the rhythm a little bit. That's so cool. And that's because one of these is going offset. That's awesome. This is RMing from B, so I can mess with B. Record that. Okay, cool. I'm gonna do back to normal, go through the wavetable. I'll do 16ths. Delay right here is really cool tool to essentially delay the signal. So you're basically just saying like, hey, I want you to start, like I want your whole Serum and all this LFO business to start later. So I would move this, let's say like a half. See how when it waits, it goes? So it's happening on the offbeat, right? It goes slow. It goes high. Cool. Alright, let's go to another preset. Awesome. Alright, let's mess with the parameters a little bit. Go faster with the water rate. Alright, so I'm just gonna resample a bunch of stuff and I'll be right back. Alright, so yeah, we have a lot of ideas here, okay? So I'm gonna just grab some drums, even though it's just gonna be a bass and really nothing else, just so you guys can get a grasp of what we're doing. Right. So many cool ones. That one is probably the coolest one. Right? So basically, the idea is just sound design. Just find a bunch of cool, like go into the presets, change a bunch of parameters, just keep resampling and resampling until you have a bunch of these ideas. And then what we can do is we can kind of chop things together. So basically you can hit this hit and then it can go here. Just chopping some of the stuff that I liked a lot and made a kind of a cool little rhythm. Put some drums behind it, and this is kind of the little call and response that I'm going to do here. And then I just got this little guy from one of the clips, and he's kind of this little high-pitched guy. And I'm going to have him... Here's the kind of the loop that I made. And then this guy, I want to do something like this. And then maybe this last one goes down. Like. Oh, I love that. I just love turning Serum into audio, you know, and then just going in and look at these different ideas. Like, you just chop some of this up. Like, that was that really cool guy that we just used him as a phrase. Maybe we could do that as the end. Like, that's really cool. Probably gonna want something to be filled in there. Probably be some FX. That's cool. Okay, so that's my little loop. So just to reiterate, Serum, go through a bunch of presets, make a bunch of edits, just keep resampling. Don't worry about making the perfect patch. Really want to focus on just getting a bunch of ideas out as possible and, you know, just dialing it in, make sure the waves are compressed nice, which the WHZLY beef rack will do. And then go through all your ideas, right? And then just chop up or just select the ones that you really like or that will work in a phrase together, and you can make a really nice, easy call and response, A and B kind of vibe, okay? All right, so now just to save time, I'm just going to grab all these elements over here, you know, put them over here. I'm just going to fill up all of this space with the stuff that we had on the first drop, you know, these guys over here too. Because I just kind of want to make my second drop, or at least the idea of my second drop, and then bring it back into the first, okay? I'll be right back. All right, so we're back. So basically, I just kind of grabbed all the stuff that I was doing in the first drop, right? Kind of the same stuff. All these elements over here, all the FX kind of back over here, all these other stuff over here. But I want to do I want to add some more stuff. I want to kind of add more ambient stuff. Let's just get that root note out of the way. If anyone knows the command for legato, I'd love that. And let's go through some of the presets and see if we can find some ambiance. Let's go to blackout, synths. Okay, not bad. This could work. Maybe I can actually make it really dissonant by just loading another note on top of it. Yeah, so here's by the way is what this new kind of drop sounds like with all the stuff that we had in our previous drops. This is empty. I'm assuming we can put either my vocal back there or we can find another vocal, but I'm not worried about that now. I just want to keep sound designing and layering. So yeah, I added this thing, right? I think it kind of creates a nice little tension. Maybe 8. Maybe just a little bit. Yeah. Little cool trick there. You know, find the root note, and then if you just add the semitone up or down, it can kind of create this weird dissonance. But it really only works with like really high pitch stuff, like screechy stuff, like stuff over like 900, over 1,000, right? That's cool. Let's make another thing. Let's go to barracks. Ooh, sustains. What's chord? Chord sustain? Let's see. Oh, yeah, this is perfect. Hold on. Maybe this. I want to make him stereo. I also want to give him like some sort of reverb. Cool. Alright, maybe 1/24th there. Let's just have it at 1/24th. Here it's like 1/8. Okay, and then the amount is full over here. Actually, maybe 1/4. There we go. Yeah. Alright, cool. Alright, I'm just going to do a little organizing, just clean things up a little bit. I cleaned up some things, moved things around. On this bass here, I added a lot of dispersion. So I have one disperser here on this bass, right? And then I did 5 more. So it went from this to this. Increased the width a little bit, gave it some erosion. Alright, so I'm just kind of giving it a little bit more top end, which is nice. And then on this guy, he's kind of the same. But I did hear this little guy, which is just... And I was like, I want to use him. So I want to grab this guy when this phrase starts. Let's see what he sounds like. So that could be cool. Yeah, it's creating that little... But I'm gonna use this thing that I made called the Melodic Res Rack. It's basically like my hand-me-down version of Chroma. Basically what I did is I created a bunch of EQs that take out any frequency that's not in the scale. So there's this D-Res, which stands for resonance function, and then a Res Plus, which increases the resonance. So if you look at the wet, basically these EQs that I'm doing, they're taking out, I'm using a bunch of them to take out all the frequencies that are not in the scale. So this took me a while to build. But essentially every frequency that's not in the scale, it will take out. So what's left is the scale, right? So if I hit D minor, just on the D-Res function, it's already kind of creating a color. And then if I click D minor as the Res Plus, I'll get like a chroma effect, right? But I don't want too much of that effect. I'm also going to probably just put an EQ before the D-Res, and I want to accentuate like the mids. Maybe a little resonance. Yeah, see now it's got that So here's what I'm saying when I kind of like, whenever I want to do sound design sessions over here or wherever, I might grab stuff over here and then bring it back into this drop. So it kind of sounds like this. Just got that so I really like that. So that's a really cool addition to that guy. Okay, so also I could use a separate sub like how I have over here, right? However, the sub I actually did not mind because it was really long. I mean, I could do something like this again where it's like kind of stompy and I'm doing like, you know, cutting off 180 and it's just like. And that's cool too. But I didn't mind this sub at all. It sounded really nice. So that's cool. On the very end of the master, I'll just put like an EQ like this, and I call this like I'm in the stall listening to the song. And like, does the song still sound like a banger when you're like at the venue, but like you're in the bathroom, right? Because that's kind of what it sounds like. Check it out. Right, like I'm hitting my goal here. My sub is hitting 0. I'm always at 0 or close to 0, like tickling it, right? Because that's what you want. And it sounds like the low end sounds good to me. It's dynamic, right? Now what I want to do is I want to write like the next half, and I want it to be a combination of the first drop and a combination of the second drop. And then the second section may be a combination of the first drop, and then this B section, like weave in these little dun. So yeah, let's do that. All right, I pasted the first drop, I took out these, so it's just like. All right, so we're just gonna fill in the spaces with these guys. Okay, so just took that other guy, but just kind of shortened him a little bit. So now we have this. All right, let's grab everything that, like, you know, all these guys and just paste them over. It sounds like this now. All right, we added these little dudes. It was one of the basses that fired off really fast that I found one of the audios. And then tonal delay. And this little wonky filter, which you can use. Which it really is just a click. You could just do it with a transient and with the tonal. I mean, the tonal delay is kind of all of it, but it being a little wonky beforehand helps it change the tone. It's really cool. It's just like this filter and delay at the same time. It's basically a tonal delay rack with like a high pass filter with a resonance, and then it gets delayed again with some tonal. Okay, so cool. We already have like a really cool second part of that drop. So it's like, man, we just sound design. We got drops and drops and drops and drops. Let's hear it from the beginning. I see what happened here. This has got to go up here. Okay. And then maybe we can duplicate this. Okay, these guys. Yeah, what if we did something that was like just really fast? Ooh, that's kind of cool. All right, so I got like this rhythm actually turned out really cool. So these I pitched up like crazy. It's like, maybe keep these two. So since the sub's playing here, you want to make sure that every other element is also cut off. This bass is already cut off. This guy's got a low cut on him. He doesn't, I think, over here. Yeah, so he's over right here. Then I just kind of scoop him over here because this sub's going to start to play. So there really isn't an issue with playing different subs. As long as the sub sounds good, like I said, I just do a little bathroom test and then see if it works. So yeah, that works. I like the sound of that. Sometimes just throw in your favorite songs if you're having trouble or you want to know like what does a good low end sound like. Just throw in your favorite songs and do this little low cut just on the master or on the track, and then you'll get used to what it's like to listen to the low end of a track. Sometimes I'll produce with this on for like 10 minutes. So yeah. All right, so I'm going to kind of see how I can finish this out. Okay, so I basically just copied and pasted it over. I did change the triplet amount over here. So instead it was just 2 on this time, I stretched it so it was kind of like 3. I did something a little bit different with the drums. I will hear what it sounds like. I also included this on the turnaround. Like I said, like I was gonna do, like just use that B response, and then the drums. Pretty much the same thing, we just have a double kick, and I threw in one of the zaps from my pack right before a kick. So on that second part, we just get the boom, boom, right, 2 kicks. And then I threw in this little sweep. This should be in the FX section, but I didn't really care. I wanted it to just kind of get sent through. Okay, so there's that. Same thing I'm doing here, nothing too crazy. Everything's kind of the same. And then threw in this crowd here. Should definitely have ambiance here. I think I forgot to paste that over. So let's make sure we get that on. We want to make sure we get that one hit. Let me have this all done, right? Coming back. And then I layered it with this. So I decided to just layer one lower one and one higher one. And then I just brought that vocal back, right? I just lowered the vocal a lot though, because our master, remember, I'm slamming our master here. Right, so the vocal is going to be a little bit different if it was at full volume. So I had to lower that a little bit, compensate for the throw, like the push that I'm slamming that utility up right into a clipper, right? So I kind of have a second drop here, which is nice. And like I said, we just resampled MIDI, and then we just played with audio, played with stacking, you know, use some little parts, like parts from one of the drops to then add back to our first drop to make our first drop sound cooler, and just a lot of stuff to play with in the rhythms. And I just love to use audio because I can kind of decide, hey, I want to start in here, and audio is just nice to play with, I feel like. And it's easy to kind of control the fades, like this kind of stuff, right? I need to be able to see in audio to tail it off. Really important note before I leave from this drop section is, when we're all set and done, it's so important to go in when you have things in audio and just make the trims. Make sure there is nothing that is like this, for example. You don't want to have anything that's clipping like this, or else you're going to get a little pop. And you can't hear it too much there, but let's see. Essentially, you just do not want to have anything left over, or else you will get this DC offset click. And if you have a lot of those, it will stack and it just won't sound good. So when you're all said and done, just make sure to fade your audio, because that's what I'll be doing, just meticulously fading everything that has some sort of end. Like, see, I'm already kind of doing it here. I need to do a little bit on the intros and the outros, like right there. So just get really detailed. It is annoying, but it really separates a track that can be messy and you might not know why, but you got to get into the fine details and just start trimming stuff. But yeah, so resampling is king. I always advise, when you make a drop, I mean, if you're feeling the flow, just keep moving, but just do sound design. If you finish a first drop, just keep making more drops. Just, if you're in that zone of making a drop, don't leave it. Just keep creating, keep resampling, keep trying to chop sounds from your ideas that you resample, try to put them together, stretch them. Remember, tones mode is really good. This wasn't even a beat. I think it's already as it is. Yeah, but if you're stretching something, right? Tones mode, it all the way down, or Complex Pro is going to be really good. But it even says here, when I go to tones for audio with clear pitch structure such as vocals or bass lines. So, if these basses have strong fundamentals, it's going to warp it in a nice way. So tones, hold shift if you want to warp things like crazy. or even stretch them like crazy, right? Just have fun with it. All right. So yeah, so now it's all about kind of maybe I can create a pre-drop after I do a second build. So the drops so far are done. I might do some more touching up on them once we're done, but let's move this all over and focus on the breakdown.